welcome. I'm Stephanie, part of the Card Creators Plus team, and in today's video I'm going to make a themed theatre card. Now every card that we make is themed some way or another. It depends on the sentiments and the embellishments you put on a card to what it's for. It could be a birthday card, a get well card, a thinking of you card. But my themed card in today's video, and please don't cringe, is going to be a Christmas card. And I can hear you saying, Christmas in January? Well, if you're anything like me, I do make and send quite a lot of cards at Christmas, and every year I end up panicking at the finish because I'm last minute trying to get them all done on time. And every year I say, right, that's it. Next year's going to be different. I'm going to start early and get them done. But believe it or not, comes to the end of the year and I'm still panicking and rushing to finish them. But this year it is going to be totally different because we've decided as a team, the last week of each month, one of the team will design and do a video on a Christmas card. And my intention is that for every design that's made, I'm going to make quite a few cards of that design. And then when it comes to Christmas, I won't be rushing. So I'm going to turn the camera around now and we'll get cracking with making this one. Okay, so I've made a template with the measurements and score lines on. I've always been a visual learner and I've found things like this do help me, so I hope they're helpful to you. So we'll pop it to one side and we'll start making the card. Right, I've got two pieces of card here that have been cut to 8 inches by 4 3/4. The back panel, I'm not matting and layering it, I've actually printed straight onto the card, so that saves a step and it looks just as nice. The front panel, I've cut the aperture out, and this time I've actually used my Silhouette cutting machine to cut it out. You could quite easily use a metal ruler and a craft knife or nesting dies, which actually more often than not I do use nesting dies. I have one that would have fit perfectly in this, but I've made an SVG for the files in our Facebook group, and I wanted to make the card using that SVG to make sure that everything worked properly. So the dies have been left to one side for now. Another thing I want to mention, I've printed onto the card directly, and whenever I do anything like that, I would never just print on it straight away because cardstock's really too nice to throw away if you do it wrong. So what I always do if I'm going to print onto card, I get a piece of copy paper and I print in draft, and then I would line up whatever it is, the image that or the aperture that I want to put on it to make sure it's where I want it. If it is, then I'm good to go and I can print it onto the cardstock. If it's not in line, it's only a piece of copy paper you've lost, and then just redo it again until you get it to the position that you want. So I hope that's a helpful tip as well. Okay, so we'll start scoring the card now then. And it is a really easy card to make, this one. So on the template it says that we're going to score at 1 inch and 1.5 inches. We're then going to score at 6.5 and 7 inches. So that's the front panel done, and now we'll do the back one. So again, at 1 inch, 1.5 inches, I've done that right, 7, yeah, 6.5 inches and 7 inches. I had to think there just to make sure I'd done it right. Okay, yeah, I think that's right. Those are the two pieces done. I'll keep hold of this so I can just score it. Now on the back, the inner score line is going to fold in towards the back, and then I'm going to burnish it. I'm going to do that on both sides. and the outer one is going to fold back on itself. Just bend that back. Okay, and bend this one back. So when that's done, it's leaving a concave. Okay, so when we do the front, that is going to be the opposite, and that's how it makes the opening in the card. So we've got the front panel. So this way, we're going to fold it back like that. And this one is going to come out. I can find the score lines properly and burnish it. I think when it's good quality cardstock, you want to give it a really good burnish. Okay, and then that's done. Okay, so that goes the actual opposite way. So when you put the card together, you put that on top like that, you've got that lovely gap in between. But we'll actually squash in, I'll show you when it's done, to fold in an envelope. So that is the base of the card done. Okay, the next bit we're going to do is stick acetate on the back. Okay, so I've got a piece of acetate there, and I've cut it. The aperture is 3 inches, but I've actually cut this at, I think I cut it at 3.5, or was it 4? Let me check. I should check, shouldn't I? Then I know what I'm doing. I've cut it at 4 inches square. And I'm going to use some red liner tape to stick it down. It's easier to do it now. If you stick the whole card together, then you'll be struggling a bit. So, right, let's get this tape and we'll stick it on. I'm going to stick it round here. Oops. Now I'm knocking my camera flying. I think it's one of those days today where everything's going a bit haywire. Hopefully it'll be all right when I've done though. Okay, let's line that up. Okay, I'll just burnish that down a bit so that it sticks well before I undo it. Okay, let's get my pokey tool. I'm going to take that off. Right, now we'll put the elusive acetate on it. Don't want to lose it again. Make sure I line it up so that it's covering that up. And that's done now. So we've got the acetate on. Okay, right. The next thing we're going to put I find this is easy. Before we put the frame on, we're going to stick the little image on, the nativity. Let's have a look and see. So I'm going to glue that down. It's easier to do it before you put the frame on, because if you put the frame on, you could end up with your image just sticking out slightly on the outside of the frame. So I want to make sure that it stays completely on the frame. So I'll glue that down. Good job I've got this fine point glue tip to do these, because it's quite tiny actually and quite detailed, but you want to stick it down well. Okay, that's that done. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use my tweezers actually to just hover over the top to make sure I get it in line properly. I'll just get hold of that image there. Okay, so I'm just going to line this up to make sure, and that looks to me like it's fitting pretty perfect. Okay, glue it down, and then I've got the little angel to go at the top. Make sure I get the right way around. Okay, slide it over here so I can pick it up with my tweezers because it is tiny. Okay, and we'll put her there. So when she dries, she'll dry clear. So that's the images on the acetate. I think they're really pretty. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to put the frame on and the side panels. So I've already done these, and what I've done, I've embossed them. I didn't just want plain silver, I wanted a little bit of embossing on them. So I've embossed them, and I thought this was an ideal embossing folder. It's got stars on, and I thought that was really lovely. I don't know whether you know, so I've got this post-it note in here, 2xA. I've got lots of different embossing folders, and every one is, well, not every one, but lots of them come from different companies, and your die cutting machines have got different plate formations, and I find that with different embossing folders it needs a different plate formation. So what I do when I find the one that works best, I actually put a post-it sticker in, so I know with this one it's 2 of my A plates and remove the other plates. Some of them are different, so I don't have to mess about trying to think how to do it. I know exactly because I've left a sticker in it, so I hope that's a tip for you as well. Okay, so we're going to stick the frame now around here. Take that bit off the end of the glue. So this will be my second Christmas card now, because I've made one first to make sure it worked, and this is going to be the second one, and I'm going to make at least 4 more of this. So in January I'm going to have at least half a dozen Christmas cards done, which is unheard of. But obviously this is a Christmas card, but this design can be used for anything. But okay, so I'm going to stick this on now, this panel. Make sure I line it up properly so that it frames the aperture properly. Okay. So that's the actual frame on now, which I think looks really quite pretty. Now before I put these panels on, it's easier actually to glue it together and then put them on. It was easier to do the actual frame so that I could lay that flat, but now when I put these on, it's going to be easier to actually glue these onto here and then put the little side panels on. So I'll get the back and we'll put plenty of glue on to make sure it's glued down well. So that's the first panel. I'm going to line it up and make sure it's completely level, and it's the right end up as well. I don't want to make, okay, so I'm just going to line that up, make sure they've completely, yeah, they're nice and neatly put together. So that's one side done, and the other. Let's flatten that out while I do it. Bend that back. I can get the glue on and the other pieces out of the way. Okay, right, let's get this one joined in together as well. Get them nice and neatly joined together, nice and level. That's the good thing about wet glue, at least you can manoeuvre them about to make sure that you've got them right in line, and I think that one is as well. Yep, so that's looking quite good now. Let's squash that down together. The easiest way is to push that down so you can really make sure that it's adhered well. Okay, so now we're going to put the panels on. on the sides. I mean, I have printed this on the back, but if you had a patterned paper or some embellishment that you wanted to put on the back, you could do that. Just measure up the inside of it. I think it's, I'll check in a minute, I think it's 4 3/4, the actual inner panel, by 4 1/2. So if you just did it by 1/4 of an inch less on each side, you could stick a panel in and it would look nice. But to say for me, I'm trying to cut out some of the steps that I don't need, so I can do the cards quicker but still look nice. Okay, so that's the little panel on that side. And then we'll glue the panel on this side, and we're well on our way to finishing this card. So it is quite a nice card and quite easy to do. I'll glue this panel on now. Tammy and Bernie have got this design as well, but they're going to do something different, so we'll have to see what design they come up with. It should be something fabulous. Okay, so we'll line this one up and stick it on. Okay, and that's both panels on. Show it looks a little bit darky, you can't see fully. I don't know whether it's my lighting, I've got the light on, but it really does look quite pretty. Unfortunately you can't see it as well under this camera light. So that's that part done. And then what I've done, I've made a little tag with Christmas blessings on. I did this again in the SVG, just offset it so I'd got the silver behind and white. And I actually use these John Next Door. I've had them quite 2 or 3 years. They're Christmas stamps, so I've used the Christmas blessings one off it. I've stamped it and heat embossed it with some silver embossing powder, and I've then put some foam on the back to raise it up. Now the foam I had wasn't very deep, so I've actually put 2 layers, and I've put 1 layer on the top of the other just to make it stand up just a little bit more. So I'm going to put the Christmas blessings on here, and then I'll trim the ribbon. So I think that looks nice somewhere about there. Yep, I'm quite pleased with that. And then I'm going to trim the ribbon down. Okay, just tease those apart a little bit if I can, because whoops, it's nicer if it's just separate a little bit. So that's the tag. I did them together, and then I used one of these, these punches, just to punch a hole in it, so that I could thread the ribbon through. Right, and then the last thing I did, well not the last thing, I've got the verse on the back, was I used these little diamantes to put on them, and they looked really pretty. I could have used new drops. You could even, if you'd wanted, if it was sort of a different pattern, you could have actually printed onto the front of the card as well with a pattern, but I thought these would just look really quite pretty, make it look a little bit special. And I'm just putting them on randomly, not in any particular place. Press them down a little bit just to make sure they stick properly. They're quite inexpensive, these, and I do think they look nice. Get a few thousand, I think, on each one. Oops, that one's tipped off. I'll put another one there. And that one doesn't want to come up. See where they fit. quite a quick, whoops, it's quite a quick card to make this, and I think it looks quite special when it's done. Let's put 1 or 2 more on, and then I think that will be enough. Let's have a see. I think I might just put 1 more at the top there and 1 at the bottom. I'm a sucker for sparkle. Let's just have a see, and 1 more. And let's see what that's like. Okay, so that is the card finished, and I'm really sorry, it just doesn't seem to show, or you can't see it with the light properly, which is a shame really, because it really does look pretty. But that is actually the finished card. The only thing that's missing is the verse for on the back. And what I've done, I will put double-sided tape on the back, stick it on, but there's a reason I haven't stuck it on yet. I'm going to turn it over and show you. So this is where I would put my sentiment on the back, and that measures, I've just made it a tiny bit smaller so it fits on. It's 4.5 inches wide by 4.5 inches deep, right? So, and that just would fit on perfectly, but there's a reason I haven't stuck it on yet, and I won't put it on now. I'll put the double-sided tape on the back, is because it's, I know you can squash it down and write on it, but it's far easier to write on it before you actually stick it on. So when I've made these cards, I'll have lots of these ready with the tape on the back, write who it is that I'm sending it to, and then I will stick them on then. It actually then squishes down like that, and it fits quite easily in a 5x7 envelope. And I think that's it. I hope you like it, and I hope you've enjoyed watching January's Christmas theme video. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. So I think it's bye for now. Bye.